Hey everybody, this is Michael with Kinetic. So I wanted to kind of make something. Pi 4 is still really early. I've had my 4 gig Pi for for a while, and it took a little while for even the capability to get Retropie kind of compiled on the Pi 4. I think a week and a half ago there was some images you could download. It didn't really interest me, grabbing somebody else's image. But recently, we've gotten a branch that you can kind of compile. So you start with, Buster, just Raspi and Buster, and you can grab a branch off of like it's a development branch for RetroPie setup, and you can manually install RetroPie on a Pi 4. And it essentially everything compiles, right? So you're compiling from source everything. There's no binaries within that branch, so it takes a long time to set up and get built or whatnot. But it is a really good indication of um, where we're at with what the RetroPie and the Pi 4 can do together. Thus far with Dreamcast, unfortunately, I haven't been able to get Recast to work correctly, and it has to do with the error is something to do with the video card driver, right? So you'd actually have to make, from the fix that I read, you'd have to recompile a driver. No, make some kernel changes, right? You'd have to like roll back a kernel. It wasn't something I'm going to do, but what I have done is installed both libretro, Mupin 64, Mupin 64, and lr-mame. And where I'm going to start, just in the capabilities of what a Pi 4 can do is so I've got frame rates turned on, so you'll be able to see frame rates in the lower left corner. And I'm just going to play some games that I hooked up, and these are all from lr-mame. This isn't 2016. This is lr-mame. As far as the Pi, the I have an overclock on this Pi, so and I'll share the settings in the comment. It's overclocked to 2 gigs, which requires the like a firmware update on the Pi 4 to actually allow you to get the 2 gig overclock. It does have active cooling, and I've been running no problems at 2 gigs for a while. I haven't had any crashes. And then I have the GPU frequency turned to 600, and then the V3D frequency set to 650. And This has been stable and okay for testing. I might actually turn V3D up even a little bit more and see if that stays stable. But that's just the settings that I have. So gonna launch a couple games and show you what lr-mame on the Pi 4 can do, and then after I finish these, maybe we can look at some of the differences in 2003 plus and and some Nintendo 64 games and some PSP games as well. So here we got Afterburner. What should we call it? It's based on the capture screen that I'm using. It's a little hard to see. Okay, yeah, 59.9. Sometimes it like based on the window. So I don't have a split display. I'm just grabbing a capture off of my capture card and playing within the software. So there's a little bit of lag, and it's really hard to see the frame rates as I'm going. But we're looking like a Afterburner 2 pulling 59.9. This is one I never really got running on the Pi 3 well. So let's go to a shooter game. Lots of shooter games. One of the really nice things about lr-mame Current is that it has support for shooting games, in that you can map the analog stick, and you can calibrate the analog stick. So even though it's not optimum, because it's really hard to aim with the analog stick, you can play some games. I've always wanted, one of the things, as I collect arcades, one of the things I really want to try is to take a game like Terminator 2 or Operation Wolf, one of the games that had an analog gun, a gun that worked off of potentiometers, and kind of put a Pi in there, put some of these games on it, Area 51, Terminator 2, Operation Wolf, and put some of the games in it, and essentially pad hack the potentiometers onto the analog guns. Like, so pad hack like the potentiometer or an analog stick. So like an 8-bit DuPag has analog controls, an Xbox 360 controller, anything that has a thumbstick on it, I've been theoretically it would be possible to make like a little shooter cabinet with a Retropie cab. I think you have to put like a resistor in line to make sure that the values, like the output values of the the output values of the pots from the controller match what the resistance values are on those old style guns. Like one of the guns that would be in like a Terminator. So pretty stable there for Area 51. Some of these are just basic games that I think that have always worked. Battletoads works on lr-mame, plays at full speed, 60 frames a second. Here's an example of something that I haven't been able to get to run on the Pi 3B, and I had a Pi 3B overclocked to high heck. Bloody Roar will run on a Pi 4, and it doesn't run good, but it will run. And nothing has been optimized for lr-mame, for the Pi 4 yet. This is just, it grabs the source code, it compiles it. Devs haven't tuned this or tweaked it, to do any number of things, such as, use a specific video driver or apply specific changes, So this could only get better. So I think with Bloody Roar, we're pulling like 46 frames a second. And that's not playable, and enjoyable, but it's a lot better than what was on a 3, and perhaps with some tweaking and tuning we could get a little bit better. So kind of during heavy play it goes down to 30, 32, 33 when it's real close. So not playable, but it does run, and I haven't been able to get this to run on a Pi 3B essentially. And lr-mame on a Pi 3B, like full like MAME current is what it is, runs really terrible on a 3B. It just it runs a lot better on the 4, a lot better. Do the same thing for Bloody Roar 2. Launches comes up. I've been surprised with some of the things I've been able to actually launch. Right, like Gauntlet Legends is not launchable on a 3B plus. It will launch here. It'll crash eventually, but it will launch. Pulling like 38 frames a second for Bloody Roar 2. Unplayable, in a way that would be enjoyable, but maybe with some tweaks we might see a little bit better performance and get it to a playable level. I hope. The devs need time to mess with this stuff. Burger Time runs fine. Cruisin USA runs, and unfortunately, because I don't have a keyboard hooked up to this right now, you need to hit F2 to launch Cruisin USA to finish the calibration. I will say that I've ran this on MAME 2003 Plus, Cruisin USA, and it is faster on 2003 Plus versus lr-mame. So there are still some games that MAME 2003 Plus will run better. And Cruisin USA is one of those examples that actually runs worse in lr-mame than 2003 Plus. But Cyber Troopers won't launch. Actually, this takes a little bit long. I'm gonna cancel this out. Cyber Troopers launches runs about 32 frames a second. It's real bad, unplayable, but it does successfully launch. So this is another game that maybe one more revision of the Pi, or hopefully some dev tweaks, and Virtual On might be playable on the Pi 4, which would be pretty cool. Darius, this is one of those ones that I never tried on a Pi 3. Pretty sure this one could be played on a Pi 3 before, but I hadn't tried. But I do like the performance of this on lr-mame here. It looks great, plays great. at a full 60 frames a second, so you know that's not bad at all. All these Darius Gaidens, you know, all the other shooters, they worked fine. You know, I was a fan of like the DonDonPachi and the Darius Gaiden stuff. I put them all in. I mean, they all run at 60 frames a second, and I think these are ones that ran even before in 2003 plus. But I mean, it's just really nice that lr-mame runs them. Daytona USA will launch. I'm not gonna launch it because it launches at 20 frames a second. It takes forever because some of these games, like because of the lack of processing power and like things that are like on the Model 2 or the Naomi, or boards that were ripped from that, they just take forever to launch. And they do go and play at about 30 seconds, but I mean, it takes a good amount of time. DOA is basically unplay. I mean, it's unplay, not basically unplay. It's unplayable. Die Hard Arcade causes a crash. I think that's a ROM error. I don't necessarily think that is not being able to play it. I think I'm going to be able to get Die Hard Arcade to play here, but I gotta try a couple few ROMs. Distratron plays fine. All the DonDonPachis play fine at 60 frames per second. Let me do one and just kind of show that, confirm it. Great game, DonDonPachis, or great games. Oh, that one didn't launch. Probably a ROM error. Let's do the one that I know launches. Yeah, and that, you know, plays perfectly. 60 frames a second. No problem at all for the Pi 4 to play this game. Let's go to the next one. Fist of the North Star launches, runs really terrible. I hope it doesn't error out. This has caused a crash before, Fist of the North Star, but it has ran before as well. Okay, good. It's not crashing this time. But it's just not there yet. So this is another example of when it actually loads. And let's see here. Oh, is that what was? There's something about. That's what it was. It wasn't that it was crashing. So Fist of the North Star, it's got some sort of ROM issue. I need to either figure out how to get like launch into the service menu or launch it or something like that. So that one's still into. JJO plays fine. Let's launch Gauntlet Legends, and it takes a while to load. But it does launch. It launches, goes to the character select screen, and then essentially after the character select, which lets you select the stage, so the period at a time, but it's handling the CHD. It is loaded. It is pulling data from the CHD. It does launch. It lets you put like your name and your password in, and then as soon as you go to the selection stage, it crashes. It really takes a ridiculous amount of time even to get there. So I mean, it's nowhere near playable. But you know, maybe with some tweaks, configuring the right driver to be used, you know, any sort of thing that you know that might be done. Ikagora, I got a ROM issue. I need to figure out what's going on. This is a fun one that I couldn't get to work on a Pi 3, which is a ridiculous game, Jackie Chan, but it works and it's playable. I'd say. Let's see how many FPS we get here. I think it was running about full speed. Ridiculous game. So he made 2. Jackie Chan got licensed for 2. He wasn't in this one, but he's got 2 characters in the second version. I'd love to see a movie based on this universe, actually. Oh, look, a little Terry Bogard kind of. Oh, you got a dash in this game, huh? Okay. It's not a good dash. But yeah, it's running full speed. This is not a good game. I mean, it was not designed well. It reminds me a lot of like Street Fighter the movie. I don't know if it's on the same hardware. I'd have to check, but it's a terrible game. But it does play. It's like one of those, you know, joke games, meme games, etc. like that. Fun to play at party. Fist of Fire. I actually like Fist of Fire a little bit better because Jackie Chan is a character that you can play in Fist of Fire, so that's pretty fun. He's got a ridiculous oh my god, I love this move right here. It's like a dash with that like connects and hits, and it's just him using his butt to. Oh shit. Oh yeah. So like, I guess they're going with that like that drunken master kind of thing. Oh dang, just wrecked. But runs full speed. Killer Instinct. So here's one that I was hoping and praying that I was gonna throw an overclock down on, and I was gonna boot this game, and it was gonna play full speed, but not yet. It runs, you know. I mean, it will launch, and that's more than I can say from what I've been able to get on a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus. So I've gotten with the overclocks on N64. I've gotten somewhat, you know, like half playable on the N64 version. But I never got the arcade version to work. We're pulling 14 frames a second right here. You know, just absolutely terrible and garbage. But the nice thing is that it actually plays. So now that it plays, hopefully the devs can be convinced to look at it and see if there's a way to make changes with the configs or the video drivers or etc., you know, development terms, to possibly get a little bit better performance out of this. And if that's the case, we might be able to play Killer Instinct full speed, at least the arcade version, on a Raspberry Pi 4, which would be nice. Same thing with Killer Instinct 2. It's the same engine. I mean, it's exact in the arcade version. It's the exact same board. All that happened was the game data changed. So really, all that's different is the CHD. The CHD, you know, there's a KI1 CHD and a KI2. The ROM, I guess, just points you to the which one to load. Go with my girl Maya. Not that I'm any good at this game, and it's really hard to play when it's 12 frames a second, at least on the loading screen. Oh, so laggy, so bad, just so laggy. But this brings hope. I mean, now that it's running, you know, the first thing is like, oh, okay, cool. Well, the Pi 4 can launch it and run it without crashing, and you know, now is just about tweaks and things that can be done to improve it. Also makes me really hopeful for the Raspberry Pi 5 generation. I know we're a while from that, but I'm pretty hopeful about that. ROM error, I haven't been able to get that one to go. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I'm hopeful about it. I haven't been able to get to launch because I need I'm getting like a checksum error when I launch that. So just got to keep trying different ROMs, or you know, do a little bit more troubleshooting, and then I'll be able to test out MVC2, which is one of my favorite games. But Moonwalker plays butter smooth, and I had a couple problems with this on because this isn't in the, I don't think it's in the MAME 78 ROM set. So I think it was in the 2010 and I had a really kind of poor performance when I was using like LR 2010 to try to play Moonwalker. But on lr-mame on a 4, oof, it plays perfectly fine. Full speed, no problems. Such a weird game though. But yep, full speed for Moonwalker. Mission Craft, I think it can play Mission Craft. I've got a ROM issue that I'm like, again, it's getting like a checksum error. So I mean, it's ROM related. It's not. I don't think it's a hardware problem. I think Mission Craft will be emulatable on a Pi 4 without a lot of problems. Final Shooting. This is something I never got to run on a 3, mostly because lr-mame's performance on the 3B wasn't as good as it is as on the 4, and I don't think Final Shooting was in like even the 2010 ROM set. I think it came after 2010. So pretty happy that now someone might have been able to get it run, on a 3B smoothly. I had no such luck. So I'm not trying to make any like definitive statements or something like that, right? If you again, it's been forever since I've even been through the whole set of like ROMs and what tested and what was the status, playable, unplayable. So some of these I might, speak out of my butt and I apologize, but I'm just trying to show from my experience. And in my experience, I hadn't been able to get this game running on a 3. So I was pretty happy when I could get it running on the 4. It's a good game for a Gundam fan. Yeah, there's 2 Gundam games that I've been able to, and this one's really great. Gundam EX Revue. Again, one of those games that was in a later ROM set than 2010, at least from my experience. And being able to put lr-mame and then grab this game from the I think I'm using mostly 209 ROMs to my memory without a lot of issues. This is playing at 60 frames a second. This is a slower game. If it seems a little slow, I mean, the original game wasn't, like Street Fighter 2 turbo speed. And even like, if you remember playing like Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, it still had like a tad of a sluggish feel to it. It wasn't until like later revisions of the game came out that it kind of got that Street Fighter 2 speed and feel to it and smoothness to it. That's what SF2 Turbo was like, the game speed and the had all been tweaked up to kind of keep up with the speed that players wanted to play at. Oh, he jumps in. Oh. Yep, playing full speed. That's something I really had not had any luck with another ROM version. MK4, I can remember. Playing pretty smooth on the 64. Was not playing very good on lr-mame. That may be something that like LR 2010 or LR 2016 may play a little bit better. It's interesting because Miss Pac Man Galaga, the 20th anniversary edition, didn't come out until a later ROM set. So this isn't something that I'd actually had in the library, considering. And this is the one that'll switch back and forth between Galaga and the 20th, not 25, it's the 20th anniversary. So this will switch back and forth between Galaga and. It's really hard to play that on analog. With Centra. NBA Jam TE, I know that's launched on even like MAME.78. It is just really nice that it plays full speed in lr-mame. So that's something that I'm happy about. It plays really smooth. my boys Robin and Robinson. Spurs being the best team, like ever. So I'm a Spurs fan. Oh, gets destroyed in the tip-off. Shakalaka. Nice job there, Robin. So yeah, NBA Jam, TE, all those playing. All right, here we go. Here's a question. Here's a game that's been problematic here and there. I mean, yeah, sure, I've gotten it to run before, but I mean, it's running full speed in lr-mame on the 4 with all the all the beauty. And this is a game that I think a couple of people have had problems with. Now I'd love it, and I'd go so far as to say that the Pi 4 is capable of playing Primal Rage 2, which was a game that never really fully released. There's only like Galloping Ghost is one of the only arcades that has like an actual hard version of it. The board's $10,000. But it has been ripped, and you can play it on a PC. It actually needs its own MAME executable to be able to play. So if we ever want to see, but this is this is a good sign. There's some graphics, there's some glitches. You'll see like I think after like an OTG, you see how he kind of like suspended there and like sat in the air. So that's like some sort of glitch. Usually you'll see that devs can fix those kind of things, but it is playing full speed, which is a really good thing. I'd love to be able to play Primal Rage 2 on a Pi. I think what it would take is the developers to take the PC binary and make it be able to compile on Buster, so that it would show up just in the run menu, so that you could specify for this ROM to use that binary to launch Primal Rage 2. Because even on a PC, you have to like use a whole other MAME executable, and you have to go through some other hoops and steps to get it to run. So it won't launch. We'll have the ROM in there, etc. It will not launch. It'll crash. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Oh, this is what it does. It does a watchdog reset. So, like, while the game launches, that's right, it's in a reboot loop. So, I think that's why. Yeah, I'm not a dev expert or whatnot, but I think that either the ROM has to be tuned, or there has to be a different binary that'll stop it from doing that reboot loop. And if we can figure that out, if like one of the dev guys can look at that, I'm pretty sure that we could have Primal Rage 2 full speed on a Pi 4, which would be really sweet. So if any devs are listening, that'd be cool. Rampage World Tour, one of those games that I had not had luck getting to run on the Pi 3 or a Pi 3. Runs pretty sweet. Runs pretty good here. Rampage runs, full speed, of course. World Tour also running, butter smooth. Just a little under 60 frames a second at 54, which is not terrible. There we go. Oof. Stop shooting me. Yeah, around 54 frames a second. It's definitely playable. Alrighty then. Return of the Jedi worked fine. Revolution X. Here's a game that didn't have a lot of luck on the 3. Playing full speed on the Pi 4. Interesting game. One of the hard parts about it is you actually have to, when you first launch the ROM, you got to hook up 3 different controllers and then calibrate each one of them to be able to actually get it. And once you've calibrated it once, it's fine and you can launch into it. But it's just kind of a little bit of pain in the ass when you first do it. Same thing with Cruisin USA on lr-mame. You have to have a keyboard connected and press F2 when you launch the ROM in order to like calibrate the wheel settings. Same thing in the that you have to do in the arcade. But yeah, 54 frames a second on Revolution X, and it's a busy screen. You got a lot of stuff going on the screen. I absolutely this game is one of those games that I hate because my friend bought this at an arcade. Me and my friend collect arcades, so we went to get. We just went to a warehouse, and the guy, my good friend Ham, bought Revolution X, and it's this huge cabinet. We'd bought a couple of the cabinets, and we just kind of had a small trailer. So we'd already packed full 2 small trailers behind 2 trucks, and we still hadn't loaded the Revolution X cabinet. And this thing is a beast. It was like the 3-player version. And so we went to put it in we actually took the trailer off the back of my truck so that we could load the Revo into the back of my truck. And as we loaded it in, we pushed it in just a little bit too hard. It broke the it broke the back glass on my truck. And yeah, I hate this game, like the physical game, but lots of problems with it too. It's very hard to find a working board. So like that one that he bought, it didn't have a working game board in it. The CRT worked, but it didn't have a working game board. And it's very, very hard to find a working game boards for Revo X. Rival Schools works. It is not full speed, that's for sure. It's not really playable, but for a game that hasn't worked on the Pi 3B or been playable, at least to my knowledge, it is running faster than I've seen it run. And it is definitely a cool game, and it's one of those games I think a lot of people want to see able to run on a Pi. So we're doing like 34, 35, very similar. It feels like the hardware for Bloody Roar. Even though this is a Capcom game. Bloody Roar a Capcom game? It might be. Not playable, but again, one of those that we may see after people have an ability to work on it. Road Blaster crashes everything. Showdown 4 runs fine. Smash TV runs fine. Soul Calibur, it takes a little while to load, and same thing, runs about 30 frames a second. Same thing with Soul Calibur 2. So like those are Namco 246 games, I believe, and still problematic. Soul Edge launches, but there was like some sort of default ROM error or whatnot that I have to figure out. I think I need to just dump my Soul Edge ROM and grab another one. Splatterhouse runs great, full speed, and lr-mame. Another game that's not in the MAME.78 ROM set, so not a lot of people have played it on a Pi, but it runs full speed here. I'm not good at this game. I haven't been able to get past like the first stage ever. I'm actually trying right now. This guy's gonna vomit on the floor. Okay. Yeah, this game is rough. Oh, I meant to hit attack. But plays full speed. Let's go with Street Fighter EX. God, it's close, man. I mean, I'm thinking if I turned up the V3D or the overclocked it a bit more. Actually, I have my active cooling is put on right now with just thermal tape. I want to get some thermal paste instead of tape and like thermal adhesive tape. So I can get, so it's almost a 50 Street Fighter EX. Now this does not run on a Pi. You can't get it to, I haven't been able to get it to run on a Pi. And 45 frames a second is not terrible. I mean, this is not like, wouldn't do a tournament on this, obviously, but if I turned up the clock speed just a bit more, this might just about get there. And of course, when the devs make some changes and some improvements to lr-mame for Pi 4, that might just bring this kind of game over the top into a non-playable to a playable. Oof, super hard. Just getting my butt kicked, but it's very interesting, the status and the speed that it's running at right now. EX2, no, doesn't really run well. Strider runs fine. Super Burger Time, Super Punch Out runs really good actually. 60 frames a second. I hope this stuff is really relevant for those who just haven't seen what the Pi 4 can do yet. I know I've been desperate for information to come out and waiting for the official Retropie release to come out. So this it's a little hard to play this from the capture card. I mean, it feels fine, but it's playing at full speed. But I'm playing this like through a capture card, so it doesn't look, but plays just fine. Oh, and I'm down. Tekkens are just real problematic. I think Tekken I got to launch. I need to work on either trying some different ROMs or something like that. I think MAME 78 is still a better place to play Tekken. Tempest works fine. Oh, Judgement Day. Let's launch Judgement Day because the Judgement Day runs really good on this on lr-mame. Same thing with Terminator 2. When you boot it, you've got to calibrate the guns once, and the calibration on this is just a little bit off. Like you can kind of see how the crosshairs are misaligned, and that's just because of the type of this the controller I'm using is just like an SN30 Pro, like an 8-bit wired SN30 Pro, and it doesn't calibrate perfectly. But I'm sure if you use one of the new light gun solutions out there, or like that earlier solution that I was talking about, you could probably get some pretty good results. But yeah, 55, 54 frames a second, even with like a real busy screen. So make the screen busy and throw rockets all around. Working okay. 54 frames a second. That's playable, definitely. Type into the dead Naomi game. Haven't been able to get it running. Time Killers runs really good though. My friend's a huge fan of this game because it was in his local arcade when he grew up. They're really trying to. They were really trying to invoke Mortal Kombat when they designed this game. To me, this is, again, even though it's reading at 60 frames a second, this game really, to me, feels it was designed a bit slower. And but I don't think that's not the fault of the hardware at this point. I think it's the fault of either emulation of the game being emulated and the game not having the same kind of speed that as a prolific Street Fighter player that I'm kind of used to, that feel and tone. But it is not that bad. It is definitely playable. Yeah, Time Killer is going in that playable. I'm actually really happy with Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 running at full speed. I've seen it run on the Pi 3B, but but not a full, not as smooth. Maybe I've even seen, on my overclocked Pi 3B Plus, 55, 56 frames a second, but it just feels really smooth on the Pi 4. Oh, katana. I hate playing fighters on a controller. But I wanted to, I guess I switched between my my fight stick, my super awesome fight stick, and my 8-bit 2 controller, because I usually just have the 8-bit 2 controller, because if I'm gonna play you need the analog sticks for playing Dreamcast and Nintendo 64 games. But if I'm gonna play some Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, I hook up my fight stick. Yep, but MK3 playing real nice, no problem, etc., etc. So that's kind of a little suite of what I've seen out of lr-mame, lr-mame current. Next thing I want to do, I'm going to go through the Nintendo 64 games, at least what I'm seeing with the overclock on them. Really good stuff. I just want to launch Tekken real quick on the PSP emulator. And there's not a lot of really quick games on the PSP that can showcase, hey, here's just really. I mean, the answer is the Pi 4 plays PSP games very smoothly. I can remember on a Pi 3B overclocked to high heck, trying to play Kingdom, Birth by Sleep, and the cutscenes lagged, just the cutscenes lagged horrifically, and then when you got into the game, it just while you could move your character around and make some attacks, it was just not an enjoyable experience. And I played Birth by Sleep, on this, and it's night and day. It feels like you're playing on a PSP. There's still some jitters. I think that I can't authoritatively speak for. I'm paying attention here. I need to capoeira. Oh, you. Let me just. Everyone's hated. Taking care. No. Come on, Eddie. Yeah, the screen feels a little jittery to me. I think that's in the nature of the PSP kind of getting upscaled, but it plays real smooth. And I mean, if this is playing full speed, I've seen the frame rate drop down to so it's coming up at 59, 60, but you'll see it drop down to 47. I don't know. That's like why I have hopes for like like Street Fighter EX, because it's already playing, in the low 40s. If we can just get a little bit, more out of it, it might, really be done. Crisis Core, everything else that I've popped on the PSP is played, perfectly fine. So I'm really happy with the Nintendo, the PSP improvements. So because, all right, so there's a lot to say about the N64. Better, obviously, on the Pi 4 than on a Pi 3B plus, and that's I have overclocked, to all degrees, and done everything I can, from like specifically choosing, going through each game and choosing, Rice or Glide, or which is the best, driver to run each of the games with, and stuff like that. And I've gotten some pretty okay, playability on that. But the Pi 4 is better. What is available right now is just LibRetro Mupen 64 Plus. One of the problems with that you're going to notice while I'm trying to like show these games off is that for some reason I couldn't map the Z button. I don't know if in like for some reason I can't map right now L2 and R2. So I'm going to play GoldenEye for a second, and it's going to play full speed, but I'm not going to be able to shoot anybody. And I think what we expect out of full speed on the Nintendo 64 should be about 45 frames a second. I don't know, man. I'll see it drop down to 30 in certain areas, but it still feels perfectly fine, and then it'll render in certain scenes at 60. So I don't know. Someone who's more versed in video scaling or video operation might be able to tell you. But I'm seeing here, just in this 1 second, okay, cool, and then we're down to 21. We're at 60, and then we're down to 21. But as far as playable, it feels okay. And it sucks because I can't shoot, because Z's not mapped right now, or whatever the shoot button is. But I can run around and show you, yeah, like 31 frames a second is what's getting when you got. But this just feels a lot smoother and a lot better than anything did on the Pi 3. So, like, lr-mame 64 Plus next, and the other versions of like Mupen 64 Plus, like the non-lib retro version, they're not on here, right? So unfortunately, like, there's certain games that run better with like certain drivers, like Rice or Glide, etc., etc. Now, actually, Glide's pretty good. It runs most things pretty stable. You can't test those yet because as you try to compile them, they fail a compilation of the Pi 4, and that's for the devs to fix, and they will fix it. And also, this, like, even lib-retro Mupen 64 Plus is not configured to use the specific drive or the specific video card that the Pi 4 has. So there are a bunch of improvements. This is just like straight compiled. It does work. It's not been tuned. It's not optimized, and it's already playing, a ton of a lot better. Just a ton of a lot better. So Conkers Bad Fur Day, at this point, even when you got to here, was just, crappy. And this is better, but the screen's only reporting like 13 frames a second, but it's still like, I don't know. And I mean, like, I could hook this up and put it on my I'd actually like to do the next video I make. I'm going to try to hook up my my 64 into the game capture and just directly capture the game side by side. Even though the games it can't show or doesn't show the frames per second, but I don't know. Conker's looking okay, and I can't forward or progress anywhere further past this because I don't have a Z button mapped. But I'm pretty happy with just this improvement, and there's a ton more left for 64. They've got to set it to use the correct video card. They've got to put all the different drivers, for Rice, for Glide, etc., etc. And they're going to, actually, I'm not going to do Cruisin USA because it really needs Z. I don't even think I can go without that button mapped. But Cruisin World, which I have never really gotten to play smooth on a 3, already just as it is right now. So for everyone who's been asking, like, what is the experience going to be like on 64? Is it going to handle, in my amateur opinion, I think once all of the emulators compile and the devs have tuned it, 64 games are going to play really, really nicely. I think Killer Instinct, Conkers Bad Fur Day, games that have traditionally been a problem for the 64. Cruisin USA has been problematic. Shadows of the Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. Like Cruisin World right here. This is humming along, just about 30 frames a second, totally playable, feels good. On a 3B, even with an overclock 3B, whenever you were near cars, like when you were kind of in congested traffic, it would really just slow down, right? It would just start chunking. And I'm not experiencing that in this one, so I'm really happy. And I've really only tested with like my V3D frequency set at it's at 650 right now. So I want to turn this up, check frame rates, do a little tuning and tweaking, but really it's not worth spending too much time tweaking until the other emulators are available, right? So as soon as the devs get all that stuff done, and get all the options underneath people's hands, I think we're going to see some really good ways to choose a specific rice or glide, play the game, and test it, and try some overclocks on it. And I think we're going to see some really good performance out of it in 64. I'm pretty optimistic. I know some people have said, oh, there probably won't be a difference, and some people have been optimistic. I'm on the more optimistic side. We're very early in what the Pi 4 can do, and I'm very impressed thus far. Diddy Kong Racing works fine. I'm trying to showcase games that have been a little problematic for the 3B. There's games that have played fine on a 3 for a long time. Like Super Mario 64 has played fine. Mario Kart 64, at least on the first couple levels, has been really good. It starts getting a little bit glitchy and into the later levels. Fzero was a little bit problem. So this is all just basic. I haven't changed the video mode to like CEA 3 or 4 or anything else like that. I've just left everything pretty basic, other than the overclock that I have on here. And I'm real happy with Fzero. I'm real happy with a lot of the games that I've tested. So we're pulling in like 59.5, 60 frames a second on Fzero. It's very good. Ooh, almost lost it right there. So yeah, F-Zero's playing really good. Gauntlet Legends crashes on me most of the time. Killer Instinct Gold, unfortunately, I think this is one of those ones where we need one of the other emulator options to play well. Plays like crap with just lr-mame Movement 64 Plus. But again, once the devs come in here and work their magic, I think that we're going to see much better results out of Killer Instinct. And it's funny because it reports early at 57. Playing better than the arcade version, for sure, but still not playable. But just starting to see that, yeah. So yeah, so that's one we got to really wait on for the devs to do their stuff. Let's do a little Majora's Mask here. Majora's Mask feels good to me, man. I mean, just how this is set up, I'm pretty happy with it. Poor Link. Looks really dark here. I think that just has to do with my capture card, though. And a Deku Nut. Woo, where are we going? No! And he dies. So yeah, Majora's Mask, playing real good for me. Only going to get better with the other emulator options with the slide. This actually has a high resolution texture pack on it, which looks really good. Even on a Pi 3B, when you load the high resolution texture pack, it looks really good. So that's one I'm really looking forward to seeing with the extra power of the Pi 4. You know how this will look. And one thing I'm excited about, there's actually quite a few games like what is yeah, sorry, I'm not even at a point I don't have like a save file where can fight some enemies, but I'm just gonna roll around here just so you can kind of see the basic. I need that button. Yeah, like Rogue Squadron, I think needs a specific driver. And one of the newer emulators is supposed to have it, I think. I don't know. I'm curious to see if there's some other cores and drivers that'll be able to run games that just haven't been able to be run before. Especially now that the Pi 4 has, that extra power. So yeah, Majora's Ocarina of Time looks pretty good. Mario Kart's always been okay. It runs fine. When I've tested it. Mortal Kombat 4. Here's one that I'm really starting to see a difference in. Man, like MK4 has always run like crap. On a 3. And here, I would call this playable. You know, I'm not maybe the hugest MK4 connoisseur. Uh, you know, and I'm not saying that you would use it in like a tournament or anything like that, but and considering on lr-mame it runs like crap, um, I'm really happy that it runs pretty smooth. Oof. You go, Scorpion. Yeah, but playing very, very nice. At least for me. Just right here. I wouldn't ask for too much more. Oof, very nice. Oof, Scorpion takes one for me. Paper Mario was running good. It takes a while to load in that one. I don't have a save file, so just skip that one. Starfox 64 runs fine. Let's do Shadows of the Empire. Definitely not full speed. Again, another one. I'm hoping that. What I have noticed is that like on threes, this screen would glitch a lot. So you would have kind of like from memory, you'd have to pick this out or whatnot. So I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, but at least on that screen. So the fact that the glitching on that part of the screen is gone is really nice. Rendering really small, which makes these probe droids, because like I think the internal resolution that the lr-mame 64 Plus is initially configured to is like 320 by whatever. Those Imperial probe droids are so hard to see. Like you can see, it's so pixelated from this. This is like a game to like really enjoy visually. It needs to be on better hard. Well, I mean the Pi 4 needs to do a better job emulating it so that you can turn the resolution up. Is what the hope is, or what my hope is. But it's playing pretty good. I mean, a lot better than on a 3, that's for sure. I think we can see better, but I'm not angry at it right now. You know, I could play through it like this and enjoy it. I could definitely enjoy playing Shadows of the Empire kind of at that speed. Episode 1, it doesn't render the racer. Mario 64 is butter smooth like always. Here's one, Smash Bros. And I was like, I didn't think that it, you know, at least until the future, that this was going to run really well. But I'm very impressed with how Smash Brothers runs. So I'm gonna choose. I'm not a great smasher or whatnot. I love the game, I love the concept, but I'm not like a. Trying to get to just trying to knock this guy off real quick so that I can show you the next screen, which is the Yoshi screen, which is visually like a really, like, I would say on the Raspberry Pi 3, at least when I was like trying to test the Raspberry Pi 3 for like like Smash Bros, and like I put a nice overclock, and come on, get out of here. So like you could kind of get this first stage to clear, like you could get past that stage relatively easy. This is a stage that that you'd start to see the video lag, where you'd start to really see the problems with Smash Brothers, because the more characters were on screen, it would just slow down, and I'm not calling this perfect, but it's playable. Smash actually has a high resolution texture pack, so I'm hopeful that after when the other video cores are available, that we'll be able to run this even with the texture pack. So yeah, Smash running pretty good. Wave Race runs pretty nice.
Select your watercraft, please. Welcome to Dolphin Park. Warm-up time. Follow that dolphin.
It's such a pretty game. And it looks really nice with the texture pack. So because it is running so nice on a Pi 4, I'm really excited to see if it runs full speed with the texture pack enabled. I think it will. Yep, Wave Race playing pretty good for me. Let's see, the only ones that I whipped out, Yoshi Story is interesting. I need to get to a save. Yoshi Story on a 3 would it would error out at a certain point. So I need to. I think we can do Let's do Starfox. It's the last game that I'll do. Let's just show this off. I'm sorry, this is a long video, and I'm hoping really, and I'm gonna try to put. If you watched this the whole way through and didn't skip around, congratulations for listening to my boring ass. But I think I'm gonna try to like put a timestamp for each of the games, etc., and just be like, hey, well, if you want to see this game, you know. That part's got some lag and slowdown, but once we get into the game, it's pretty fine.
It's about time you showed up, Fox. You're the only hope for our world.
I'll do my best. Andros won't have his way with me.
Good luck.
Open the wing. Check your G-diffuser system. Falco here. I'm fine.
Oh, are you, Falco? Gotta hate Falco.
This is Peppy. All systems go.
Flippy here. I'm okay.
I see him up ahead. Let's rock and roll.
Those water graphics. So if you're curious about this channel or whatnot, like I hope you want to check out some of the future content. I definitely tinker a lot with Raspberry Pis, and I'm gonna do some live streaming. I think I'm gonna put some of I'm getting back into some classic WoW. I'm definitely gonna be doing some classic WoW streaming if anyone if you guys are interested in that. But some of the other stuff is I'm trying to get set up to do I've got a couple PVM. I got a lot of PVM BVMs, but to do like a PVM BVM comparison and like a CRT capture. I just kind of got to get a camera that captures CRT stuff really well, and do some pretty cool classic CRT gaming stuff is what I'd like to stream about. Yeah, I don't have the break button mapped on this one.
I'll take this one. Get the one behind me. Something's wrong with the G-diffuser. I guess I should be thankful. Do a barrel roll.
Animal.
Follow me, Fox. Falco, where you going? I found the target. Try to keep up. Time for a little payback. Gotcha!
Someone wants to play.
Incoming enemy from the rear. Drop altitude.
Enemy shield analyzed.
for the open spot.
Deploy all units! Charge! I've got a present for you.
Shoot, I'm taking damage.
Deploy all units! Charge! I've got a present for you. Deploy all units! Charge! I've got a present for you.
Yeah, it's working.
Who are you guys?
We're Starfox.
You'll never defeat.
Cool, y'all. So I hope that was educational or helpful, and some information, and at least on what the Pi 4 can do. Which we call it Nintendo DS is still terrible. But yeah, I mean, tried to compile Saturn. Saturn didn't work. I wanted to start doing some Saturn testing. At least how it compiled here. So if anybody knows or has been able to get Saturn to compile, or has any other information, or just comments, hit it up in the comment. Happy to take some input, etc. And you guys have a good night. Thanks.